Regardless of what you might think of the titles themselves, 18 Floors and Dying Reborn proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that VR is the perfect platform for escape room puzzle games. On a flat screen, there's no danger, no sense of confinement, but VR puts you inside that locked room, dares you to get out while facing the horrors within. But while both of the aforementioned games set the mood perfectly, neither delivered on the scares. So with Halloween rapidly approaching, I was fittingly excited for the announcement of The Door, a relatively mysterious new escape room that'll test both your patience and your courage.
Have you given any thought to what I mentioned before?
I have no choice but to try. It's the only way to treat Amy.
The Door's story is decent enough, and before the end of Chapter 1, you'll learn that you're a researcher locked in your lab, trying to find a cure for your daughter's disease. It's a great setup for scares, and The Door delivers where it counts, with a real feeling of claustrophobia, and hitting you with jump scares whenever possible. But it's mostly just an overarching sense of dread, that the game is always waiting for you to turn around so it can scare you, which it does often, and if you're a scaredy cat like me, often successfully. Dirty, confined rooms, flies buzzing around, biological waste, and cryptic messages scrawled on walls and photographs make this a haunted house I'm happy to have spent time in. The entire 4-hour game is fairly well presented, with only some pretty terrible voice acting, mandatory click turning, and teleportation, killing what could have been a much more immersive experience. But the puzzles here are the real stars of the show. In fact, the beauty of this game is that every puzzle makes perfect sense once you've figured it out, usually accompanied by a sigh of relief and a figurative facepalm, wondering how you could have stared at the solution for so long without even realizing it. They range from simple 4-digit locks and common sense puzzles to some much more inventive scenarios. The one downside being that items around the room aren't accessible until the game deems it necessary for you to find them. In other words, you'll see a roll of duct tape sitting in plain sight for an hour, but until you've triggered a specific event, you're not able to pick it up and take it with you for its inevitable use later in the game. It's not game-breaking by any stretch, just a little annoying to rescan every room anytime another puzzle presents itself. Once you've unlocked every area and solved every puzzle, the lights come up and reveal that the entirety of the door takes place on a very small stage. As an escape room game, it gets the job done nicely, but as a $35 purchase, you're bound to feel a little bit ripped off. For the price, I would have expected twice the number of rooms and twice as much gameplay. But ultimately, The Door has everything I love about games: a dark, creepy atmosphere, a few jump scares, and some really well-designed puzzles. Most people will want to wait for a sale to get the most bang for their buck. But if you're like me and just have to play and watch anything and everything scary as soon as possible, you probably won't be disappointed.